Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me on I Love Football TV. I'm your host Nathan Samuels, and today I'm going to be giving you my English Premier League predictions for the new season. There's some flops, there's some controversial decisions on here that I've made. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Like, subscribe. We're going to be making lots more videos in the future, all football content related. But yeah, hope you enjoy. Let's get into the video. So at number 20, I have, well, it's not really a secret, is it? I have Burnley at number 20. Fresh from the championship, back in the league, in the Premier League. Look, Burnley is a good team. A good team in the championship. Not sure if they're a good team for the Premier League. They did well last season. Had a phenomenal defense. Conceded only 16 goals. That's like on Chelsea levels, if you ask me. But yeah, strange thing is though, for that 16 goals, a lot of the success was down to the goalkeeper James Trafford, and they went to go sell him to Man City. He had about 25, 29 clean sheets, I think it was, for the season. So he was instrumental in helping them achieve that goal of just conceding so little goals. They did do some recruitment during the summer. 3 Chelsea boys. I'm not sure if this was Scott Parker's guys that was on his transfer list, or is it all just Chelsea's leftovers that they trying to get rid of to thin the squad out. But yeah, I really hope it works for Burnley. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan of championship teams. I think the football is good in the championship. It's ferocious, it's fast, it's exciting. Anybody can win when you're watching championship football, English championship football. For me personally, I know a lot of people will disagree and say the Premier League is where it's at, but it's become so predictable, you know. I think we're all going to expect me to be putting the bottom 3 relegation teams 2019 and 18. But I got a surprise for you. I don't work out that way. So at number 19, I have, drum roll please, drum roll, Wolves. So it's not a surprise. Or is it a surprise? Why I say not a surprise is because last season, Wolves were very lucky, I think. They were lucky in the sense that the 3 teams that got relegated were worse than they were. And I'm not lying. Southampton was awful last season. And I think if those bottom 3 teams weren't so bad, Wolves would have gotten relegated. I think even Man United, Spurs would have gotten relegated if those 3 teams were a bit better in the quality. I mean, they ended 16 last season, Wolves, and they've lost some of their best players. I mean, why would you sell your best players that helped you keep you in the league, you know? As you can see, their home record, away record, they lost 10 games on the road, 10 games at home, and that's relegation form, guys. I mean, 6 wins. They were just lucky that the teams around them were worse than they were. I think it would have been much worse for Wolves, but I do fear for them this season. After they sold Matheus Cunha, Ayoub Nouri, I mean, those guys got them most of the goals last season. That was the playmakers, you know. That was the go-to guys. And the guys they signed right now still have to prove themselves in the league. They still need to make their transition and to still adapt to the Premier League. I think it's going to be tough for them, you know. I think it's going to be tough for them to survive. And I do really fear for Wolves. I do really think they might go down this season after what happened and after the transfers they've made. So much transfers. But yeah, in 18th position I have, oh guys, 18th, Brentford. I got Brentford in there, guys. Another one. This is one of those teams as well that I'm going to tell you that they were also on the brink for me. They're one of those teams that if they lose 1 or 2 or 3 key players, the club can really be in trouble. Because I think you need to replace those star players as well. Mvumo, Visser, I they're also the top scorers. 20 goals in all competitions. That's the type of guys you cannot let go of. And I mean, yes, they did some good. They did some good business during the transfer window. They sold Mbumo, Nogard, uh, Mark Fleetkin. They got their money's worth. But what did they get in? You know, they really haven't um, replaced those guys, and the quality of those guys, that's a win. And I think Brentford is going to struggle this season, and I do have them down as one of the teams that might get relegated. I really do think they're going to struggle, and I really do think they're going to struggle for goals, especially. Yeah, defensive, I think they're going to be all over the place. The new boys also still need to be embedded into the team, the right back and defensive mid. Jordan Henderson, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's back in the Premier League. I'm happy for him, Jordan Henderson. But can he still hang with the big boys? Does he still have the legs? Can he still go at it? I think only time will tell. And they got some good home wins last season. Good home wins. They got some wins on the road as well. So, you know, they did well. But like I said, it was only because down to Mbumo, Versa, and they got rid of the guys. And I think most of the season they're going to be relying on um, Damsgaard. I think that's going to be the go-to guy, and it's not to put so much pressure on his shoulders to assist and help out where he can. It's going to be tough for them. So I do think they're going to be one of the teams going down this season. But like I said, I like championship teams. I like championship football. So I want the championship teams to survive. So I've got two of those Premier League teams going down. So yeah, at number 17 we have West Ham. This team, sometimes they can be very bad, awful when they play. And in these times that they can pull a rabbit out of a hat and get that unexpected result and win 1-0, 2-0 in a very tight situation. They were 14th last season, but I do think they're going to struggle this season. The top scorer is Jared Bowen. Gosh, I'm not sure if he can get those figures again, because he had an awesome season for West Ham. And I'm not going to lie to you, I like Bowen. I like his intensity when he's on the field. And when you think of West Ham, you think of Bowen. So I like this guy a lot. I think he's one of those loyal guys you can always rely on at your club. He gives inspiration to everybody else. But yeah, let's hope he can give some inspiration to West Ham this season, because I think they're gonna struggle. I think they will be around in the bottom 6. So I think they will be fighting till the end with the relegation teams, because I think those teams can give them a run for their money. We can see the transfers that they did in the business. They got Callum Wilson in. So I'm not sure if he's also still got the legs for the game, if he can go at it. They got rid of Danny Ings. Kudos. I mean, this is a club that really need the money. It always amazes me, like, when teams, when teams sell their top players, especially teams that's in the lower half of the table, like Wolves, they sold Itnuri, and Brentford selling Mbumo. I mean, you don't want to be selling your top guys. You want to be building around your top guys, especially if your team is hovering below the table. And I mean, it's big money to be in the Premier League. So would you really want to just sell your guy and get some money for now, for the short term? Or are you looking at the long term? That's something I think teams should be addressing. The numbers for West Ham last season, 5 wins at home, simply not good enough. And I think that's one of the reasons they're going to be close to the table at the bottom. I think really they're going to be fighting it out with the rest of the teams. I don't think it's going to be like last season with the 3 bottom teams. I think it's going to be very close, with everybody competing, trying to stay in the league. Like I said, it's big money to be in the Premier League. And if you can survive, It's good. I'm just saying, it's good business. In number 16th, I have Sunderland. I know that comes as a surprise to everybody, but Sunderland has been busy. They spend, I think it's about 100 mil on new players for the new transfer window. I think it's about 100 mil. I'm not too sure. I must double check. But yeah, these are guys that have the intentions of staying in the league. That's why I didn't put him in the bottom three. They have intentions of staying up, and they spend that money, Uh, Ended fourth in the championship. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they weren't gonna make it because of making it to the playoffs. Yeah, I was actually a bit disappointed that they actually went through. I'm not gonna lie. At the time, I thought, oh my gosh, Sunderland. Not with the quality of players you have, after making all that sacrifice to be in the Premier League. But yeah, I'm glad they actually went out there and opened the wallet and spend the cash. This is guys that want to be in the Premier League, and they're showing it here by spending big money. So yeah, it's not just uh, anybody that was on a free or anything like that. They got really good guys, good signings. They sold Bellingham. They made some cash on that, but what they got in, I think it adds some depth to the squad, and I think they're gonna stay up. Mark my words, they are gonna stay up. I think they got what it takes to stay up, and this is a really good team for me. They stick together. They're very aggressive in their play, very aggressive the way they play. I think that's part of their game, be aggressive, in your face, and I really think they're going to be staying up in the league. I think we're going to get a shocker. Well, some people's going to be shocked. I won't be shocked because, yeah, I know Sunderland's going to be good this season, and I don't think they're going to disappoint anybody. I think we're going to all enjoy their football, and we're just going to, everybody's become a Sunderland fan. Just watch. We're going to enjoy supporting them, watching them, especially against the big boys. And then at 15, I have Leeds. Yeah, I put them there simply because of their record last season in the championship. I think they were good. Um, Started to lose a bit of their way towards the end, but they were winners, and you have to give that to them. And I really think they do have a good attacking team. Uh, Not sure if Daniel Farke can keep this team up. He's got a bad record, Daniel Farke. He's got a bad record, I'm not gonna lie. When I see this guy, I just think relegation and a team struggling. I'm not sure why. But hopefully this season he can keep Leeds up. I would love it if he could keep them up. Like I said, I love championship teams, and I would like to see some new faces, some new blood in the league. Getting tired of the same old, same old. You get some teams that's just yo-yoing all over in the league, like your West Hams and your Evertons. Okay, not Everton. Let's take that one back. Like your Brentfords, Wolves. So I'm just hoping some of these new guys can stay up and make a name for themselves and give us uh, different narratives to the story in the Premier League this season. So yeah, Leeds at 15th. I think they'll make it. I think they have a better team than Wolves and Burnley. I definitely think they have a better team at the moment. At number 14, I have Brighton. Yeah, got Brighton at number 14. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last season. I think they were falling a bit off towards the end. They had some really good results, but I don't think they're going to emulate that displays that they had last season. I think it's going to be very hard for them to compete this season. I'm being generous here. I think they might even end lower on the league this season. But they've made some couple of signings. But the big one is Pedro that they sold, the talisman. So yeah, I think Brentford might struggle this season. So I'm being a bit generous, like I said, with the placing. And with the coach Fabian Hürzeler. Let's hope it's not just his age. We're all talking about the season with him being the youngest manager in the league and all that. But yeah, at number 13, I have Bournemouth at number 13. So they were very good last season. They were, I think, one of the teams that the top teams did not like playing. I think they had a very good record against the top teams, if I'm not mistaken, last season. And I also think this is one of those teams that might not be able to emulate what they did last season. Just for the reason that they've sold most of the top defenders. Um, they made their money. That's good. They made their money. They sold them off. But I mean, it's nearly a whole backline that they sold, and that's what's going to be a bit worrying for Bournemouth. So I don't think they're going to be able to emulate what they did last season. So I think they're going to end a bit lower on the league. And then at 12th position, I have Nottingham Forest. So yeah, that comes as a bit of a surprise, I know, but I also think Nottingham Forest is one of those teams that is not gonna be able to perform the same like they did last season. I mean, that was just a miracle that was like on Leicester City miracle that they could perform so well last season. That I thought we were all expecting him to fall further down. We were expecting them. I think people were even having them favorites for Champions League places at a point, but then the wheels just came off that bus. You know, I think we all wanted them to make it. That would have been like the fairy tale story. Nottingham Forest back in the Champions League. Um, I actually thought they might have won the FA Cup. They ended in the semi-finals for the FA Cup. I really thought they would have made it, and I actually had them as favourites for the FA Cup last season. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, they've got some big names that they sold. Ilanga to Newcastle. I think he was instrumental in the way they played last season. Counter-attack football. Very defensive, I'm not gonna lie to you. They sat back most of the time. They had that low block thing going on, and you just had to try and break them down. But counter-attack was it's what this team do best. You know, they're bold for that. And Chris Wood on 20. Gosh, I think that was his best season. 20 goals. I think 20 goals is his best. I'm not sure if he can just do that again. You know, I'd be very surprised if Chris Wood does get close to that numbers again. Then I'll give that man his flowers, really. If Chris Wood can make that numbers again. Because before then, I never rated Chris Wood so good. So I think under Nuno, he's doing a very good job scoring all those goals. Because, I mean, he's catching me off surprise. I know that. At number 11, I'm putting him actually high on this list. I'm actually looking at this list again and thinking, must I review them? But okay, it's Everton at number 11. I think they're going to have a good season. And as a Liverpool fan, I don't know how I feel about it. But yeah, I think they're going to have a good season. I think they're going to make it difficult for the big boys again. I think Everton has something to prove this season, especially David Moyes back in the game. And I think they can also have that feel-good factor with some big name signings coming in. Jack Grealish, Dewsbury Hall. I think this is good guys, and I think this is just adding to their team. I do think Everton did some good business in the transfer window, and I think moving to the new stadium is gonna help them out a lot. It's gonna give them that boost, and I think they're gonna wanna prove something this season, especially David Moyes. I think Everton was one of the top performing teams towards the end of the season, if I remember correctly. And yeah, they were performing very well for some reason. And like I said, it must have probably been the David Moyes factor. But yeah, I expect Everton to do well this season. And number 10, I've got Fulham. Yeah, so Fulham is one of those yo-yo teams. Uh, Not much to say about Fulham there, but like I said, they're one of those yo-yo teams. Not much to say about them because they didn't do much business in the transfer window. No movement. I guess if it's not broken, there's nothing to fix, right? Um, Fulham, I expect them to end mid-table again. They're going to be one of those teams that you can lose or win against those yo-yo teams. So it's 50-50 with Fulham. You don't know what you're going to get on the day. It's either you're going to lose, win, you don't know. This is a team that blows hot and cold. And I think the manager's quite happy with the team he has, with the setup. I'm not sure if he's expecting to end higher than they did last season with this team. But yeah, I think they're going to end up in the middle again and be one of those teams that you're not sure if you want to play or don't play, and it depends how they feel on the day. I think the only thing that's lacking for Fulham is consistency. Yeah, consistency. This is a good team. I see Everton. I mean Fulham. Yeah, but this is a good team. Consistency is the problem, and I feel like I think they also had a good record against the top teams last season, the big boys. But yeah, I think this is 10 for them again as always. In number 9, I have. Okay, I think this is gonna come as a surprise for everybody, but I have Newcastle as number 9. Simply because of the whole Isak story going on in the transfer debacle. Is he gonna go? Is he gonna stay? I don't know. No one knows. And a lot of rumors going around with the Isak story. That he's training alone. Yeah, they had a good season. Uh, Carabao Cup, beat Liverpool in the final. Was a bit sad about that, but Newcastle deserved it wholeheartedly. They had I think, a reward for the good league campaign that they had. And I think Newcastle is going to end ninth this season, though, because of the whole Isak story for me. I don't think they'll be able to keep on to him. But if they do, I do think that's going to be problematic for them as well in the long run. Isak, 23 goals. He had a good season for them. Instrumental in what they wanted to achieve. But I think there's a whole lot of rumors going around that he might leave for Liverpool, and if he don't go, it might be another club. But he's not training at the moment with Newcastle, and for him to get back into that team, he's gonna be doing some apologizing to the fans, I think. And some of the senior players don't want him in the team. Some of them feels like he's disrespected the badge. The younger players, some of them would understand his situation and they support him. But yeah, I think the whole mental thing going on at Newcastle is gonna be a hamper to the game this season. I think really that's gonna cause some issues, and I think this is not going to be sorted out like straight away, to be honest with you. And I think the league season is gonna depend on what happens with the Isak story. Really, I think that whole thing with Isak will determine if they're gonna end night or if they're gonna get a Champions League place. If he stays and he works things out with Ideal, yeah. So yeah, I've got Newcastle as ninth. And then in 8th position, I have the team that everybody loves to hate, I think, or despise or laugh at. I don't know. In number 8, I've got Tottenham Hotspurs. So, very disappointing season last year for Tottenham. At least they got a cup. They got the Europa League winners. They could have won the Super Cup against PSG as well. But yeah, if you win a cup, is it a successful season? I don't know. Or ending 17th and getting a cup. They were close in the League Cup as well in Carabao semi-final. So I expect Tottenham to do much, much better this season with a new coach, Thomas Frank, coming in. Very different from Ange, the football that he plays. I think the football will be more controlled, more adaptable to the players. I mean, Ange football was a bit harder to adapt to for players, I think, playing a high line, halfway line, and They were just so easy to score against. I think the best game voted last season in the Premier League was Tottenham's game against Liverpool. I think it was like 5-3, if I remember correctly. So that type of football, I don't think you're going to see from Tottenham this season. I think they're going to be playing much better. They're going to be much harder to beat. I think they're going to have a sense of the way they want to dictate play, how they want to do things on their term. I think they'll be more controlled, like I said. There's going to be no rush. The only downside I would say is the departure of Song. If he stayed there, I think they would have had a much better chance of being even higher in the table, to be honest. But yeah, I really think with a new manager, Thomas Frank, I like him a lot. He's very humble, and I like what he's doing at the football clubs that he coaches. But yeah, I think he's gonna do well by Spurs, and I think it's gonna be a different type of Spurs under him than we've seen last season. And in number 7, I'll have Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace is one of those teams that I love to watch as well. Good counter-attack team, fast, direct football. Last season, they had a good season. FA Cup winners, quarter-final in the Carabao Cup, Mateta, top goal scorer in all competitions. But I don't think they're going to end 12. I think they're going to end much higher this season. This is a team that's so hard to beat. And they can beat anybody on their day, really. They have the ability to beat Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, you name it. They got the ability to beat all these teams. This team is so good. And you can see not a much transfer business going on for Crystal Palace this season. They're very happy with the team they have right now. If they manage to keep their defender, Mark, with the one eye, got injured in the FA Cup. If they manage to keep him, I think they're going to have a good run again. They got a good balanced squad, good counter-attack squad, like I said. The numbers, average, I know it wasn't the best last season for them, but I think they'll do much better this season. I think to the latter end of the season, they were actually playing much better football. And yeah, they were playing much better football at the end of the season. At number 6, I have Manchester United. I know, shocking, right? After the season they had last year. But number 6, I really do think Man United have a good team this year. Sorry to say, they do have a good team this year. They had an awful Premier League season, 15th. I think it was one of their worst Premier League season, and felt so. Like I said, I'm a Liverpool fan, but when all things go wrong for Man United, it just starts becoming embarrassing and sad. Really, you can't even laugh at that and be like, "Oh, they deserve it." But yeah, I really think they're gonna have a better season. They can't get worse than last season, that's for sure. They got some big boys in Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha. I really think this is gonna be a good team. That 3 guys are gonna improve Manchester United so much. They're gonna be a completely different team, and I think they're gonna adapt better to the coach's tactics than the previous bunch of United players. I think they were struggling somewhat because the type of players, the style of Imran, the type of style that he plays, I think we were struggling really with. And I think this new 3 recruits will transition properly and better and adapt better to his playing style. Bruno Fernandes, still the go-to guy, still the main guy. I think he was the light in the darkness for Man United, to be honest. I think without this guy, they probably would have been relegated, but I'm expecting Man United to have a very good season at 6. So yeah, I think they're gonna do well. At number 5, I have Aston Villa. So granted, Aston Villa had a good season under Unai Emery. Granted, I think they might push on this season. and they will come close to making Champions League football. I think they will even make Champions League football, to be honest. I just needs like an injury or two from the top teams like Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, or Arsenal for them to make top four, I think. But so I have them as fifth, but I do really think they could sneak in there and they could make Champions League football. It depends obviously on their record at home again, and if they can play better than they did last season when they were on the road. So they didn't make much signings because I think they have a solid, balanced team. And I think Unai Emery knows that, and I think he's just gonna build on from there and use that team as the launch pad. Like I said, the only thing they're gonna need to improve on is their away record. Their home record was phenomenal; they did well. But that away record, gosh, I think they were 3 wins away from cracking top four. Yeah, I think they were 3 wins away. They could have made it. It's a pity on the last day with Manchester United. I was really hoping Aston Villa could make it back into the league. So I think this season, fifth. But like I said, they could make Champions League. All depends on how things go with the top teams and how the results on the road. Like I said, that 9 defeats on the road really hurt them last season. And I think they could do much better this year. In number 4th, I have... Guys, don't get upset with me now. Please, calm down. In number 4th, I have Arsenal. Yes, I have them as number 4. Simply being, I don't think they have a big enough squad, to be honest with you. I think an injury or two and the squad will struggle. On paper, I think Chelsea... I think the top teams above them have a better team on paper than Arsenal, to be honest with you. I really do think the other teams are better. Arsenal did make some signings. They had a good season, let's say. They ended second in the league for the 3rd time in a row. Or was it the 4th time? I think the 3rd time in a row. They ended second. Good runs in the cup competitions. Kai Havertz, look, they made some good signings this season. Victor Gyökeres is well documented that Arsenal was looking for a striker. But I really do think Kai Havertz is still going to be the go-to guy. I think Victor is going to struggle in the Premiership for me. Yeah, it's just how quick will they be able to adapt. I know Victor was at Brighton. They said he played for Brighton before in the league and saw him, but wasn't much of an impact player. But yeah, I think Noni Madueke, he might play a big role in Arsenal season. I think he can contribute maybe better than Martinelli. So I think that's a good buy from Arsenal. I think that is a game changer, Noni. I think we're sleeping on that guy. I think he's got the potential to be a world beater. In number 3, I've got Chelsea. So Chelsea, the World Club Cup champs, they are very good on their day. I think they can beat actually any team in the Premier League on their day. It depends on their day. Do they have injuries? Do they sleep well? Do they eat well? How do they feel? Are they up to par? But I think Chelsea is that team that can beat anybody in the world on their day. They beat PSG. I mean, in the World Club Cup. I mean, PSG is a tough team, and they managed to beat PSG, and we all had them. I don't even think anybody was Chelsea's favorites to win the World Club Cup. I think we were all hoping one of the big boys. But anyways, I think they're going to push one up this season. I think Chelsea's going to be better in the league. They're going to be more tougher. There was one time that I was even having Chelsea as Premier League champions. I was even contemplating making them Premier League champions because of the signings that they've made this season. And you know when this team is going to do well, so when you see they do good business in the transfer market. You see they do well in the transfer market, and then you think to yourself, wow, that's how you can actually judge a team. If a team makes no transfers and it's quiet, then you know it's going to be they're going to be a yo-yo team. They're going to struggle a bit in the market this season. They're going to struggle in the league. But if a team makes some good signings and they're spending the money and they're selling players and making their money back, then you know that team's going to have a good season. And I do think Chelsea's going to have a really good season in the Premier League and in the Champions League. I mean, they're the World Club champions, man. And is that even better than the Champions League winners? But yeah, this is their record. 2 losses only at home. Chelsea were very good at home. I think their away form, let them down a bit. I think Chelsea could have ended much higher in the league. I think they were even at the point. I think at one point they were even favorites for the Premier League. I think it was like 10 or 12 games in, and we were looking at Chelsea and thinking, this team can take the league, guys. This team is really good. But obviously, the coach played it down at the time and said it's not their time yet, inexperience. But yeah, I like this Chelsea team a lot. They're young, energetic, full of life. When you play indoor soccer and you're playing against those youngsters, this Chelsea team is like it for me. Oh my gosh, I think they're the youngest team in the league as well. But yeah, it's scary, this Chelsea team. They're still young, they're still developing, but they are world beaters already at that young age. At number 2, I have... So this is a toss of the coin. This could have gone anyway. This is also one of those teams that I wasn't sure about. I have Manchester City at number 2, but I do think they could win the league as well this season. I think Pep's personal life, I think he sorted it out this season. I think he's got the Pep back in his step, if you know what I mean. So I think they're going to do well this season. They ended third. They ended third last season, even though they had a run of bad games. But I guess many of the other teams also had a run of bad games. But I do expect Man City to compete this year, and I think they're going to be much better, more competitive. I think they did some good business in the transfer window. They spend the cash again. Yeah, they got some really good signings in. They're adding squad depth to the team. But I think I think Pep's going to do it this season. He might win the league or he might be second, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close between Man City and the other top teams. I think any of the 4 can win it, but it's either Man City if they get a slow start again and then they pick up in the second half of the season. It depends on how the early results against the top teams go. But yeah, I really think Man City is going to improve this season on the road. I think it let them down a bit with all the draws on the road and the defeats. But they're going to be much harder to beat this season. They're not going to be the same team like last year. I think they rejuvenated. They look also more energetic on pace. Phil Foden. I think he's going to find his form this season again. The old Phil Foden will be back. At number 1, I've got as the Premier League winners for this season, I've got East Liverpool. What a surprise. Wow, well, not really. So it's well documented that Liverpool has made a lot of signings this season. I think those signings improved the team a lot. If you compare to the guys that went out and the guys they got in. I think that's one of the ways you can see if a team is going to be doing well this season. Like I said, you can see the top arrivals and you can see the guys that went, and I think it's a big improvement of what they had at Liverpool. And that's, I mean, gosh, if they won the league already with those players, and the only signing they had was Chiesa. Now they got Florian Wirtz, top transfer fee in the Premier League record. The only thing I'm worried about Liverpool though is their centre backs. Their defense is a bit suspect to me, conceding goals all the time. But on the other hand, they're gonna score lots of goals. That's the other thing now. So I expect Liverpool to win games 4-2, 5-2, 3-2, 4-1. This is a team that's gonna concede all the time. That's just how they are. With the type of football they play. Yeah, Brandon they're supposed to be more controlled. But yeah, I think they also play like a high line. You'll sometimes find Virgil at the halfway line and he's being one on one with a striker, but I mean the guy's getting on an age, so I think another centre back will help Liverpool a lot quality. And but I do fancy Liverpool to be winning the league this season. Um, like I said, I'm expecting Mo Salah to reach that target again of 20 goals or so or more. But I think he's going to be the talisman still, the go-to guy. I think the other new signings will still have to be embedded into the team. I mean, it's a new league, a new game. It's a bit different, like they said, more aggressive, more competitive. But yeah, thank you guys. That's my predictions for the 2025-26 season. Send a like, subscribe, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.